The Old Gold Club, powered by Wolverhampton Building Supplies, with Mikey Burrows and Chris Iwelumo.
Welcome along to the Old Gold Club. I'm Mikey Burrows, alongside me Chris Iwelumo, and our guest this week spent 4 years at Molineux, playing a huge part in the rebuild of the club in the late 80s, lifting the Sherpa Van Trophy at Wembley, winning back-to-back promotions, cementing his place in Wolves history books, even though he made his name down the road at the Hawthorns. Welcome to the Old Gold Club, Ali Robertson.
Hello.
We have to start with the elephant in the room. The 18 years or so that you spent as an Albion player, synonymous really with a large part of Albion's history. What was it like coming and being such a big part of Wolves' history?
It was very hard because having been 18 years at the Albion, and I only come because Brian Little, who was a good friend, I'd kicked him a few times on the park, and we become very good friends. He just says, "Why don't you come as player coach?" And I've gone, "I can't come to the Wolves." I says, "Good God." I says, "What's going to happen?" He says, "No, you'll be all right, you'll be all right." But then I says, "Right, okay, I'll sign." So I've come down on the first morning, come to the club. So I says to Brian, "Where's my kit?" And he goes, "Sorry?" I says, "Where's my kit?" He went, "Oh, you've not got any kit." I says, "What, there's no kit?" He says, no boots, no kits, no nothing. So it's a horrible thing to say. I had to go back to Dave Matthews at West Brom and ask him for kit. I says, "By the way, you can't give me anything blue and white." I says, "Because I'm out of the Wolves." I says, "It's got to be either black or grey or something." So he gave me boots, he gave me the whole lot, and I come back and I just thought to myself, how on earth have I come to a club this big and they've got nothing? They've got absolutely nothing.
You were Albion legend Ali Robertson, training at Wolves in Albion training kit and boots.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I don't know how you got away with it for the start off.
Well, they didn't know that. They didn't know it was Albion stuff, but that was how low, and it just shows you how low the club was.
So from a football perspective then, what's going on in your head? Because you're coming in, like you say, it's been relegation after relegation. You've came from like the career that you've had. These are rivals. You're taught to hate the other. Mm-hmm. You come into this dressing room, you've got to get your own kit. And like you say, what's going on in your head then?
Within the first week I was there, I thought, right, come on, you've got to be professional, do everything right. Where I couldn't believe, there was no camaraderie within the club. And that was the first thing I saw. And I thought, I can see now why they've come fourth, third, second, all the way the opposite way, first, second, third, fourth. And there was nobody that was a leader within the club. You could see that the whole place had gone. I remember going home after 2 weeks, and I said to the wife, I went, "What on earth have I done?" Because the players that were there should never have been in Wolves strips. It's a horrible thing to say, but there was probably 5 or 6 of them should never have been there. And it was now getting Brian Little now, which is right, we need to get some players in. We need to get, the first thing is we need to get them to play in a way we want them to play, because they were all over the shop. Nobody knew what to do. And that was our first part. We lost the first 3 or 4 games. We won one. Then all of a sudden, you could see things starting to change because we did get the right attitude from some of them. Then, of course, Brian got the sack. And we'd actually won 3 games, I think, 3 out of 4 games, and Brian got the sack. And I remember him phoning me up this Sunday night, and he says, "I just got the sack today." I went, "You are joking." He went, "No." He said, "They've sacked me." I went, "Oh, who's coming in?" "Oh, we don't know yet. So that was for me being a player coach, to Graham Turner turning up. And then, of course, this is where, when I come into the club that Monday morning, I can't be in the coach's room because I'm nothing to do with the new manager. So I went into the players' room. And it was quite funny. David Barnes, John Purdy and Mickey Holmes were the 3 funny lads. And I says, "Where can I strip, lads?" And they says, "Oh yeah, we've got your peg." And they put my peg in the toilet. So they says, when we believe that you're part of the players, we'll put you back in the dressing room. So for a week I had to change in the toilet. But that shows you, inside football, that's where the great camaraderie is.
Because did the players give you stick for being so synonymous with Albion?
No, because it was one of those. Because it's a horrible thing to say, they were bought with the 4th Division. They couldn't believe that somebody like myself had come to the club. And that's what I seemed to get. They seemed to put me on a pedestal. And I was saying to them, no, I'm just the same as you. I'm playing for Wolves. I'm in the 4th Division. I'm the same as you. It's now character and the right things that we do right, we'll pick it back up again. But they kept saying, but you've been in the 1st Division. I went, we're now all Wolves players. I'm a Wolves player. Forget the Albion. I'm a Wolves player. And that was the biggest thing, to get them to think the right.
Because the club was really on its knees at the time, wasn't it? Yeah. Financially, the stadium was crumbling around. Yeah. As you mentioned, got to mention the fact that they're doing some drilling around, so you might hear some random noise in the background. But you know, the attendances, as you mentioned, were right down. Like, this was not the Wolves that you'd have seen in the 10, 15 years previous. No.
I remember we had played I think it was about the 3rd game at home, and we were getting beat. I think we got beat 2-1 or 3-1. And as I've gone up for a header and head it clear, all I heard from the terraces, you Albion. And I've looked, I'm going, trying to see who said that. So I've won another header, and I've heard it again. And it's a man with a young kid. And the two of them are shouting, this, that, whatever. I went out and says, I'll see you at the end, mate. So when the game finished, I ran back to the end, but you'd gone away. I'll tell him I'm not an Albion. I'm a Wolves player now. That's gone. I'm part of this club now. And that was the biggest thing that you had to get in your head. I'm part of this club, and that is where we're going to be now. Forget that 18 years at the Albion is gone. We start afresh.
See, that takes a lot. I think that's a certain mental strength. You know, you say that Brian Little was a friend. He's offered you a player coaching role. Was that a major part as well, the coaching side of it, 33, 34 when you joined the club? Is that something that you're thinking about, okay, that's another career that comes after the playing? Or was it mainly, I'm coming in as that player, as that dominant character? Because just speaking to you today, I know already that you were a bit of a hard man about, and you didn't mess about, and that's, you're not going to be taken lightly.
That was one of those where, when he says player coach, it was something that I never really wanted to become a manager or anything. I always wanted to become a number 2, because I think, because I got on great with all the lads, and they knew my discipline, and they knew what I wanted, and that's what I wanted from them, I don't think I would have been a good manager. Well, I never made it as a manager. But when I went there, that's what I went there for. And I think it was great just to go in, and I look back now, and to see the club do what happened, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Because you went kind of full Wolves when you moved over. I saw this quote from you. You said, I said to the Albion people, I hope we pass each other. I hope you come down and we go the other way.
Well, Mr. Saunders, who got rid of me, me and him fell out when we left, because I'd been captain, he joined the club, and from the day he joined the club, I was never in one team. I had to train on my own. For 4 months, 5 months, I trained on my own. I used to try and go and speak to him. He would never let me go and speak to him. And then this one day, we had the season finished, and this is again your character. I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm getting back in that team. I trained all through the summer. So when we come back to pre-season training, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm good enough to get back in the side. But he made me play with the third team. Yeah. He made me train on my own. He made me do this. So anyway, we played at Bedworth, and we had this game. It went to penalties. We got beat on penalties. They said to me, take a penalty. I says, hold on. I says, the young lads are here. It's no use me taking a penalty. These young lads have got to learn. They've got to take them. So then Garth Crooks and Imre Varadi, they had been taken off at half time and they had left. And the coach at the time was giving Imre Varadi and Garth Crooks some stick. And I said to him, hold on. I says, forget them. They're not here. These young lads have done brilliant today. I says, these are the ones we should be praising. Forget those two. Give those two a rollicking on Monday when you get them face to face. So anyway, because in the last 4 months, Clive Whitehead used to phone me up on a Sunday, but he used to speak like Ron Saunders. And he used to speak, you wouldn't know it was anything different. He was brilliant at taking them over. So me and Tony Greaves had gone out after this game, had a few beers and everything. And I got a phone call early on the Sunday morning. And the wife says, it's the gaffer's on the phone for you. Well, I'm thinking now it's Clive Whitehead. I more or less told him to go away politely, put the phone down. So all I heard was 9:30 at the ground. So later on in the afternoon, I phoned Clive back. I says, what were you on about this morning? He went, what? I says, what were you on about this morning? He went, I haven't phoned you. I went, you haven't phoned me? You hadn't put Saunders' voice on? He went, no. I went, was that Saunders that phoned me this morning? He said, it must have been. So I turned up at training Monday morning, 9:30, that's all I remember, 9:30. I turned up at training, 9:30. Dave Matthews, the kit lads, come to me and went, where are you going? I went, what do you mean, where are you going? He says, well, I've got all your kit here. Well, you've been transferred? I went, not that I know of, no. Saunders just paid my contract up, kicked me out of the club. Simple as that.
It's like, I'm in complete shock. It's like, so you've went to the rivals, and there's got to be a little bit of a, you know what, I am going to show you. So I'm going to go there, no matter, because Wolves, great history, big club, they've came down, they are on their knees, and you have been, he has part of that rebuild to kick them back, and to say that to someone that's just shoved you out the door.
Well, I said to him, I hope you get relegated.
Yeah.
And I says, wherever I go, because I knew I wouldn't get a first division club, I'd be second, third. And I said, wherever I go, I hope we pass each other. And we actually did. And I couldn't wait to go to the Albion that day. And we won 2-1, the Albion that day. And I went, how fantastic is that? And like, it's horrible because I love the Albion. They are my heart. They are my heart. But for him to make me feel so much against them was wrong. If I had ever seen him outside after, and I told him this, as I left, I said, if I ever bump into you, I will come and knock you. I says, because what you've done to me...
It's not right.
What he could have done was, I don't want you here, we'll help you find your club. Now that is what I would have done. And I always remember about a year after, I'm playing golf at the Belfry, and he's on the other tee. And I've looked at him, I've just thrown my clubs down. I've started going across because I would have gone and nutted him. And my mates have jumped on me. You can't do that. You can't do that. I went, what he's done to me, I could go and kill him. He said, no, you can't. Just come away. And I went, okay, I better listen to you.
So do you think almost if it had worked out differently at Albion, you might not have ever
left?
Well, you might not have come to Wolves. Was it because of the way it ended there that Wolves became a very attractive proposition? Well,
again, a horrible thing to say. This is a horrible thing to say. I could have gone to 2 or 3 other clubs. Wolves, I lived in Walsall, I didn't have to move, kids were at school, didn't have to do anything. So it's a horrible thing to say, but it was easy for me to stay. And that is a horrible thing to say, but once I got there, my character comes through, I'm now a Wolves person, we want to make this club better. And to do what we did do, incredible.
You said that yourself and Brian Little, you changed a few of those players' attitudes. Brian Little goes, a new manager comes in. Again, you have a philosophy, you have a way that you want to play football. Might not be what Graham Turner was all about. How does that, because that's a conflict of interest right there, isn't it?
Yeah. To be fair to Graham, within a week, he's come to me. He says, I'm making you captain. I went, oh. I says, you don't need to. He says, no, I'm making you captain. You're the leader, I can tell. You're the leader. So he made me captain, and all of a sudden, we used to talk, we used to do everything. The change that he brought in, and of course he brings Bully in, he brings Tomo in, the change, the attitude of the players, if you don't want to play, go away. And he brought in a structure, this is how we played. And I remember going to say to him, we can't play like that, booting balls in the corner. And he went, I'll prove to you in this division it works. So of course he's got Bully and Mutsy up front. They're spinning around, we're putting balls over the top. They're getting in every time. Bully scored, was it 50 odd goals the first season? Yeah. And he come back to me after a bit, he says, can you see it works? I went, Graham, I'll hold my hands up. Because I says to him, I've been used to getting the ball, giving it there to midfield, to Brian Robson, to Lincoln Teller, to Tony Brown, to whoever. He says, you've just mentioned 3 players that are world class. We haven't got that standard of players. So the players we've got in this lower division, we've got to do the best things for them. And this is now the strength of the team. Those 2 lads up front will run everybody ragged. And it was proven completely. It was brilliant.
You mentioned Bully and Tomo. They followed you from out. It's only a couple of months. Did you play a part in them coming across? Were you knocking on Graham Turner's door saying, "Oh, there's two kids there"?
I just remember Graham coming to me and saying, and this is a funny part. He says, "Oh, I've got two lads coming in, Thompson and Bully." I went, "Bully?" I says, "Bully will drive you mad." I says, "He'll score you probably 20, 25 goals, but he'll miss 50. I says, "But," I says, "great kids, and little Tomo, what a fantastic lad." But to be fair to Bully, you've got to give the coaches, they used to take Bully after every game, 1-against-1. And he all of a sudden, from starting blasting the balls in the corners, and Gary Penn used to say to him, "When you get there 1-against-1, whack it at the legs." And Bully went from that to that. Incredible. It's a shame, really, that he never got into the Premiership to prove he could, because he would have scored goals wherever, because he proved that. He played for England, scored goals. Bully would score wherever he played. Then he was brilliant. Brilliant.
Did you realise very quickly, like, with Graham Turner's style and the success that it was bringing, that the team was on the up? And
yeah, you could tell straight away, because all he used to say to us, keep it organised at the back. And in the lower divisions, if we could keep it organised at the back, Bully and Muchie would score goals.
Yeah.
And that's how simple it was. And we had a great thing that we used to talk to each other, just say, if we're under pressure, go man for man. So the minute we were under pressure for 5 minutes, I'd just say to everybody, man for man. So we'd go man for man for 5-10 minutes, kill the game off again. All of a sudden, balls in the corner, we'd have changed it all around again. And it was as simple as that. But Graham was brilliant. You've got to give him his credit for what he did. It was brilliant.
Because we talk about you being a leader of that team, and it sounds like, you very much instructed the guys, because there was a lot of youngsters in and around that group, wasn't there? The difference between kind of you at your stage of your career and the likes of Bully, Tomo, Robbie Dennison, Andy Much, all these guys, how important was that leadership to them?
Well, I think they knew how I was, because I taught them how to drink, and I used to go out drinking with them, and they knew the standard what I wanted. And to be fair, we all got on great, but if somebody did something wrong, I'd be the first one to tell them. And to be fair to Graham, if Graham come in and did a team talk, this, that, whatever, and a couple of lads weren't too happy about it, I'd go to them and go, whoa, he's telling you what to do. That's what you do. I'd then go back to Graham. There's a couple of lads not listening to you on those things. I'd tell him who it was, and he would work on them. And because it was a whole part of the club like that, and Gary was with me at West Brom as well, so we all knew each other, and it was great to be part of.
In the first season, obviously at Wolves, you lost in the two-legged playoff final against Aldershot, but you were suspended. Like you said earlier, before we started, about you retired winning that trophy. How was that? How was that a hard one to take, being suspended? And
well, it was hard because Andy King was playing for Colchester that night, and he ran the show. And it's quite funny afterwards. I said to him, if I'd been on that pitch, you would never have done those things. I would have kicked you up and down, Dale. Yeah. And we were unlucky that we just didn't take our chances. But when we look back, it was probably the best thing that happened to us. That we didn't get promotion that year, but we rebuilt, and from the start of the next season, we were just straight up. And you could see the whole thing, we were going to get promoted. You could see that we all felt that within ourselves.
So losing that double, that playoff, that strengthened the squad. Yes. in the long... Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think maybe if it had gone up then, it might have just been too soon.
Mm-hmm.
It might have just been too soon. But the next season, we made a little bit more money again. The club then got back on the feet a bit better. We could then start buying 2 or 3 players that could come in, and you could see us on the way up. And it did help.
Because I guess sometimes a lot of it's about momentum, and you built that momentum through. I mean, we were talking about the Sherpa Van Trophy final, which will be on the podcast, by the way. And you were talking about the fact that, you went from 3,000 crowds to 50,000 plus that went to Wembley. The feeling around the whole place must have been incredible.
But it is. You'll never know until you're part of it, and to see the faces of all the Wolves fans, and for us to win, and to see them so happy and build up, and the way they were celebrating, it's great as a player. And I remember we had a night after, we had a few beers and a thing, and I couldn't do anything because I was sitting, my ankle I thought I'd broken it, but it was okay. And we all went out, and all the lads were carrying me about in this chair, which was great fun. And then, like I said, when we returned to Wolverhampton the next day, to see the fans turn out, for, again, in our time, the Sherpa Van was a nothing trophy, but to see the fans turn out for us in that day, incredible.
Now, you said, obviously, Albion have a place in your heart, but you made a full 180, threw yourself into it. You led by example. You put the demands on the players around you as well. But Wolves has a place in your heart as well. You know, and it's like you started that rebuild. It must be feel amazing, that the achievement that you've dragged the club with the help of others, of course, forward.
To see when we started, to see when I finished, incredible. Absolutely, like you say, your heart's there for that club. And people say to me, how can you be an Albion Wolves? I went, I love both clubs, I says. If anybody says anything, I'll go, whoa, I love both clubs. And I remember one of the games with the former players, I come to the Molineux when Albion won 5-1.
We'll gloss over that,
And so before the game, we used to go at the thing, we'd have a cup of tea, breakfast, all the fans, and then you'd go on the bus with the supporters. Well, the first thing I said to them, right, by the way, everybody that's in the dressing room, everybody that's in the room here tonight, this morning, I says, I might upset you all. And they've looked at me and went, I don't care who wins today. I says, if Albion win 5-1, I actually said that, or if Wolves win 5-1, I don't care. The one thing I care is I want both teams to stay up. I says, that's what means everything to me. Forget who wins, forget this. And how much stick I got for saying Wolves 5-1. And I says, no, I was lucky enough to captain both clubs. I love both clubs, and both clubs mean things to me. I says, so I hope it's a draw today, but all I want to see is both clubs stopping up. And that would mean more than anything.
Because you got to a situation when the team got back to Division 2, the Championship in today's money, that kind of, I guess you were coming towards the end then, and you knew you weren't going to be playing as much. And almost after you left, Sir Jack comes in and
money.
This place gets rebuilt and money starts getting spent on the team. 3 or 4 years younger, and all of that would have been there for you.
It's quite funny because when we won promotion, the last game was Preston North End away. And we've got up, and I thought, now my contract's up, this is my last game for Wolves. So it was quite funny. So I've turned up at the game and I've looked, and there's all these big tartan scarves. Ali's tartan army. And I'm going, so I'm saying to all the lads, who's Ali that plays for them? They're going, what? I says, look, Ali's tartan army. All my brothers and sisters come down to watch my last game. And they've all got these tartan scarves, Ali's tartan army. But then what I didn't know, my sisters booked a hotel and everything, and we're all stopping over after the game. The lads went home and they'd phoned up Graham saying that I'm going to stop. You don't remember the old red book? My sister had made my life. And at night, we went through this, everything that happened from the day I was born, all through football career, all to this. And I thought, what a fantastic end to my career to have this. And then when I come back, then we're at thing, and Turner comes up to me and says, I know the season's finished and everything. He says, but I'm going to give you another year. And I went, you what? I says, and I actually said, my legs are gone. I says, we're in the second division. I won't be able to cope with the second division. He says, no, it's not for that. I want you in the dressing room. And I started laughing. I said, so you're not going to play me? He says, oh, you might play a couple of games. He says, but I want you in the dressing room to be part of the dressing room. Make sure you keep them all right. I went, that is fantastic. And for somebody to do that to you, that just means how much they respect you and your attitude and what it is. To give you another year for nothing.
Because you refer to them as your boys.
Yeah. Always they're my boys. Always. Bully phoned me up the other day. It was a Tuesday. He phoned me up and I went, we're not going to Tuesday club again. I'm too old for it now, Steve.
Because I got a couple of messages for you from some of them. Tomo sent me this, said, Ali was a top man when I joined Wolves. He was the chief organiser and one of the reasons I settled into Wolves so quickly. He was a great leader on and off the pitch. And Andy Much said, Ali always had a smile on his face and oozed positivity. An absolute fantastic captain who led by example both on and off the pitch. He really brought confidence to the team with his experience and no-nonsense attitude. The proverbial man's man who loved the crack. He changed with the coaches at first, but I think he missed the lads too much. Although I think he got fed up of us cutting his socks. A genuine privilege to play alongside and a true top man. He says, all the best, Ali. Hope you're well.
Ah, fantastic. No, but that was what you have in a dressing room. And once you lose the dressing room, I think it's completely right. When a manager loses the dressing room, you lose everything. It's so important, and I've had it all through my life. Don Howe lost the dressing room at West Brom and we got relegated. Then to see Johnny Giles come in and change the dressing room, change your attitude, and we got straight up promoted again. And that's where you learn. And that's where you see the dressing room means more than anything.
We're going to talk about the dressing room and the infamous Tuesday Club on our podcast extra coming up very shortly. Just to finish off our Facebook show, we do a little thing called the Rundown where we kind of run through some of the people that you played with. So during your time at Wolves specifically, who was the best player that you played with at Wolves?
The first season, Floyd Street he was brilliant. I remember phoning up Big Ron and saying to Big Ron, Floyd Street, this lad shouldn't be here, he's too good for this. But Big Ron already had him at Cambridge or something, or knew of him. And I says, no, he just needs somebody to be beside him and lead him. And I was the one beside him and lead him. He was brilliant. Mark Kendall, fantastic. And then you can't say anything about Bully or Muchy. Like, how lucky were we to have those two players there?
On the other side of that, the worst trainer at the club.
The worst trainer?
Yes.
Probably, who'd be the worst trainer? We were all quite good, actually.
Don't sit in the fence, Ali.
No, we're all quite good. The only thing, Jackie Gallagher now at times, because he was a bit of a drinker, the same as us all, but every one of us, we were.
I get the feeling that you wouldn't have allowed anyone to be a bad trainer.
I'd be if we were doing five-a-sides and somebody was lacking off, I'd kick them. Like, I'll say this about how can I say? Somebody come to the Albion from Villa, a winger, and all he talked about was Villa. And this one day, I've got him. I went, you mentioned Villa in this dressing room again, I'll knock your head off. And all he talked about was this. So, you know who Ace is, don't you? You know who Ace is? I'll say Ace, so therefore people will know who I'm talking about. So then he mentioned it again. I got him, I picked him up, and I went like that. But stop there. I went, you ever mention that again, I'll kick you. Never mentioned Villa again. And he went from there to there. Brilliant. And to this day, he's another one that will say this when we meet each other. You're not going to punch me or anything. Well, do it right and nobody will do it. No, Tony Marley. He's so funny.
Who was the biggest moaner at Wolves?
Muchy was all moaned at everything.
Who was your best friend in football? Who is your best friend in football?
There's probably that many. Cyril, God bless him. Brian Robson, Derek Statham, Tony Brown. From the Bully, Tomo, Robbie Dennison. You know, it's
fantastic.
I've been so lucky that in my career I've met so many lovely people. You'll always get a few bad ones in football, but I've been so lucky to meet so many lovely people. And doing the former players with Brendan and everybody, we all keep in contact. Brendan's been my best mate since he started at the Albion. We still keep each other today. We still go to the games together and everything. And it's great to have had that camaraderie.
Yeah.
We'll finish the rest of these on the podcast. Just the final one for the Facebook show. What was your proudest moment at Wolves?
Well, the proudest moment was at Wembley with the Sherpa van. And then the other time was when he made me captain. Like, to be made captain as a player, that is fantastic wherever you are. That is, to me, I always say, if you're made captain, they must think that much of you to put you there. And for me to be made captain, then to win the 2 leagues promotions, and then the Sherpa Van, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
There is so much more that we're going to talk about, Ali, including, as I say, the Tuesday night club, some stories from within the dressing room that I'm sure we're all going to enjoy. And that'll all be on our podcast extra, available to download from iTunes, Google Play, and lots of other places as well. Thank you very much for watching.
The Old Gold Club, powered by Wolverhampton Building Supplies, with Mikey Burrows and Chris Iwelumo.